An art journal tutorial by Creative Katie, Karen Burchell, using my Motivational Monday IQ Inspirational Quote cards featuring Dylusion paints and the following techniques. Creative Katie, Karen Burchell. Hi everybody. Today I am using my Motivational Monday IQ Plus card to get some inspiration from. I have been working very hard on my altered book, my beautiful find that I found, and most of the pages in here I have, let me zoom out, dedicated to using and figuring out my Dylusion paints. Figuring out what I can do, what techniques work with the Dylusion paints that I can still get the benefit of their wonderful blending potential and their quick drying, but still be true to the type of art journaling that I do. And there are some videos of some of these pages, and I've shared them with different Facebook groups. This one I still haven't finished out. You know, it's a background that I don't know what I'm going to do with yet. So this is all with my Dylusions paints, and I love it on this page, and I can put it on like on this page without gesso or with gesso. So this page was inspired by this IQ card. The colors that are in there. We've got kind of the burgundy and the oranges and the yellows, and that's where I got my inspiration from. And a little bit from the be the change you wish to see in the world. You know, do you see the skies as rainy and cloudy, the split splash, or you know, are you making your own sunshine? So we have multiple levels of interpretation and otherwise. So now I've lost my inspiration card. So I'm just going to put this away. And this jelly print was created with acrylic paints. I'm not even sure if it was my Delta Cerem coats or a combination of them and my Liquitex Basics. But I do know that I had some silver metallic paint, cheap dollar store kind, and I plan on mixing that with my Dylusions paints. These are the colors. Oops, make sure I put the lid on before I turn it upside down. These are colors that I'm going to go with along with the white, and I don't have the Dylusions white, so I'll be using my Liquitex Basics and the silver. And I want to kind of mute these colors. These are very, very bright, vibrant colors, and I'm going to try to mute them, take them down a notch to get more of this relaxed with the silver. We'll see how that goes. Now I used on here, to get this, I used my homemade texture plate that I created with wall compound, or you can use modeling paste and large bubble wrap. So I had created that, I had put it into the modeling paste and let that dry, and then that went onto my jelly plate. So I'm going to try and duplicate that because I really like the little rose cabbage kind of print that was there, and we're just going to see how this goes. So this page I am going to put a coat of gesso first, and when I have that done I will come back. So my page is gessoed and dried, and I have decided that I am going to use my Calypso Teal and the silver paint, but I'm going to kind of blend them on the page instead of mixing them up ahead of time because I want a little softer color. I don't want that bright in your face color. I mean, sometimes it's there, so I'm not sure how it's going to mix on the page. I'm just going to put some of the silver on a mat and apply it with a makeup sponge, and the Calypso Teal I'm going to use my applicator. And I find when you have it on gesso that it takes a little bit more doing to get it done. So I'm going to actually try a little bit on a baby wipe here. And maybe for my first coat to get an even that work seems to do the trick. I find, and then I'm just mixing it with the silver right on the page. So I'm applying with the baby wipe and getting a first coat down there. As I look at it, I'm rather liking the color, and I like how the silver really has toned down the color. I remember thinking that it's not blue enough, that the inspiration card has more blue in it, but as I'm looking over this, I kind of wish I had left it without adding the London blue that you're going to see me add later on. I think that's just a reminder that we need to step back and look at what we have from a bit of a distance, give it a few minutes. So I'm just building up the depth of color, and you need to dry in between each layer. And if you don't do that, you basically end up pulling up the paint, and so you'll see that I kind of create some bare patches. There I'm adding the London blue, and it becomes more blue than the aqua or the teal. And live and learn. I just thought maybe I could pull off and start getting some texture with the bubble wrap. You really don't see this in the final thing, but I'm just curious to see what I would get. There in the middle of the right side page, you can see how I pulled up paint because I didn't wait for it to dry. I'm adding a little bit of white and more silver because I'm trying to tone down the London blue. So I decide to apply the white paint and the silver paint onto the bubble wrap and press the bubble wrap onto the page. That is the purple paint. It's showing up very pink on screen, but it is the crushed grape. And I'm putting more or less paint, mixing it with white, mixing it with silver. In the end, I really like the page and how it turned out, but if I was to do this again, I would use a smaller piece with only a few bubble wrap ones, big bubble wrap, and apply it more sparingly. So this is as far as I got with my planning, to create the bubble wrap texture similar to the IQ card. And then I went to the quote, and it had so I have the saying, just breathe, and then just create, that ties in with the quote on the IQ Plus card. So on the left-hand side page, I'm using the masks, and I'm applying the black Dylusions paint on top. Now on these masks, I gave them a light spray of Elmer's spray adhesive, that it can be temporary if you let it sit for a few minutes before you apply it to the page. On the right-hand side of the page, I'm using the stencil portion. And these were cut out with a Cricut machine. Yvonne Gabauer, my Create friend and great friend, we spent a couple evenings cutting out. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. The colors did get subdued by the silver, and it's still a very effective page, even though the colors aren't so extremely bright. So I have the Just mask from before, so I'm going to be copying that. And I had this word create, which I had off of a stamp of mine, and I had stamped it on copy paper, blown it up, and saved it as a PDF, which I then printed out today onto deli paper. And it had the same kind of combination of fonts. So I'm playing with the composition. I put a butterfly on the one side, so now I have this Crafter's Workshop stencil of butterflies that I like the look of. So right now I'm using my black Posca pen to just trace the word just. I do not have a stencil of this word. I just have this, but this works quite well. I'm going to use my matte gel, and I'm adhering the word create down on the paper. And I'm just going to use a Get Hotel key card to just smooth out and get all the wrinkles. If you have to be gentle to make sure that you don't rip up the deli paper. So I got out my Dylusions paint, and with a small brush, I'm just painting it in. You get a very thick coverage. It's not as smooth as what you see on the other side using the applicator. And then I'm tracing over the letters here to get the same effect. So the right hand, left hand side of the page is kind of a positive, negative reverse, and I think together they work really well. Just making sure this thicker paint, Dylusions paint, is dry. And I sprayed the spray adhesive on the back of this stencil just to make sure that it didn't move. There's a lot of fine parts to these butterflies, and it is one of my favorite go-to materials now, this spray adhesive. I am very sensitive to smells, and the Elmer spray adhesive doesn't cause me any problems. So I'm extra thrilled with that. Going around with the Dylusions paint just to edge the right-hand side with the black. I think off camera I use the purple Posca pen and edge the left-hand side page. And I decide that I want another couple butterflies instead of the black butterflies. I tried the teal and it doesn't show. Then I try the purple with a little bit of white, and then I'm happy with that combination. But again, if you want to go straight on a black surface, put the white down or some gesso and then put the color on top. I knew this, but I don't know why I had to try it the other way. So off camera, I am struggling with getting another butterfly down there, and time again, it kind of squeezes under the stencil because I did not use the spray adhesive. And fortunately, with the Dylusions paints, because it is an acrylic paint, if you act fast with the baby wipe, you can clean up the mess and start fresh. And unfortunately, I have to admit to having done it multiple times until I just decided I better use the spray adhesive and do it properly. There, I finally got it to work. Now I'm using my white Posca pen. It's extra fine tip, and I'm just outlining all the words and butterflies with the white. And I kind of cut off and do the rest off camera because you don't need to see me outlining everything. I do turn the page often to outline it to get so I'm not dragging my hands in the wet Posca paint. Here's some close-ups of the final page. And you can see my wibbly wobbly outlining. I also took a stylus and I dotted 3 dots, white on the one page, black on the other, just to add a little bit more interest and detail. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber. Choose the option to get notified, then you won't miss any upcoming videos. Thanks again.